Hello and welcome to another video with your boy California Guy. What's up everybody and welcome to this video. It's entitled um, Is White Privilege, Does White Privilege Exist? Now, as of late, you've had this discussion's been going on with a lot of black YouTubers as far as white privilege and white supremacy existing. Now, I noticed that a lot of African American YouTubers and black bloggers, some of them, not all of them, when they do videos, they're scared to acknowledge that this country in the United States was founded on pure white supremacy ideology and racism. That was the what built the United States. And so you have a lot of black people, uh, regular middle of the road black people, and you have coons that try to not acknowledge the fact that that's what exists in the United States. And they say that they're not under white supremacy or white privilege. They do videos or they be on Google Hangouts and they do multiple shows talking about this topic. Now, if none of that existed, why do you have protests and looting in the streets over police shooting unarmed black men? We got to go to current things today. You look at the job situation, people hire based on race. Then you look at how the law enforcement is working, and you have black men getting killed consistently by white police officers, race soldiers. So it's odd when you have these so-called smart African American individuals to sit here and be pious and try to break down that racism and white privilege doesn't exist. There's been many cases where there's been black men with drugs offenses and gun offenses compared to their white counterpart, and the black man has gotten more time, and the white guy has had reduced time. You can see that. You can see the jails, the disproportionate number of men and females, black females, in jail. So it's very unnerving that you hear these African American individuals and coons discuss and say the stuff they say about white supremacy and white privilege. They refuse to acknowledge that exists. They think it's just a gimmick by pro blacks or militant blacks, I guess, to justify them and their behaviors of the behavior of fear and acknowledging. And I'm not saying that you got to fist pump, um, do a fist bump, and say fight the power and all that. You don't have to do that, but you could, if you're an African person who have African heritage, could acknowledge the fact that white supremacy and white privilege it do exist in the United States and globally. It's an ideology, and I failed to hear that from a lot of black people, and they always say, "Well, you pro blacks this, or you pro blacks that, or, pro black this," and I'm like, I listen to people when they call me that, I kind of just shrug it off when they say that, but they say, "Well, you pro blacks, you say this," but it's funny when we use these terms like pro blacks, white privilege, coons, all these different terms. Now, coon is an Uncle Tom, but pro black means that you acknowledge, I guess, if you acknowledge racism and you fight against racism, I guess that's pro black. I guess you're not supposed to mention it at all. People think cooning means success or smart, which it doesn't mean that. How come we just can't be black people and just learn something and just be smart? Why can't we just be just some smart people without putting a label on it? Because other races and ethnic groups in the United States, they don't have them kind of labels. But black people create labels, and then they think when they create some label like pro black that's gonna hurt, especially my feelings. It don't hurt my feelings. I think it's funny when they say, "Well, you pro blacks is." Pro blacks is gonna, and coons are two extreme ideologies in the middle of. I think Big J was saying the middle is going to eventually come out on top. In the black community, there's never been a beginning and a middle when it comes to black people. It's always been one specific way of thinking when it comes to the African American man and woman in the United States. A lot of black people are not pro black, believe it or not. Not a lot of black people are coons, believe it or not. Black people are just people trying to make it in the United States that want equality, but unfortunately, a lot of us can't get it due to racism. So if you're acknowledging racism, then how do you become a pro-black? See, these are questions that never get answered in black YouTube. Like, if racism, if you're saying that you're a pro-black, but you get stopped by police for no reason, or you get set up by police, or you're beat up and assaulted because of the color of your skin, does it make you a pro-black? Because you're saying that racism exists. If a Latino is assaulted by police, but does that make the Latino? Does that make him pro-Latino? If we have a Jew and people do anti-Semitic things towards Jews, what does that make them? Does it make them pro-Jew? See, these are questions that a lot of black people don't really want to understand. They not understand, don't want to ask. I'm sorry, I misspoke. We don't ask ourselves these questions. We go and we use these different words and we try to sound as if we got all the answers to the community. And a lot of times, a lot of black people don't have answers to the community. Only thing they do is they want to trash people like myself and others that acknowledge that is a global racism across the world. And we're trying to uncover. And let me say this too, real quick. Being pro-black, how do you define that? Again, we'll say that again. How do you define pro-black? Because we want economic base in the United States, because that's what most pro-blacks are trying to do. People like Tariq Nasheed, people like Black Authority, people, and there's other ones, other black leaders. They want black people to have an economic base in the United States. You talk about black businesses, which I don't really hear a lot of black YouTubers talk about, but we talk about black businesses and building up the community and trying to make this money. And the Coons, they're trying to shoot that down. And, pro blacks like myself, we spend too much time trying to explain our agenda when it comes to that. Because black, to me, pro black is acknowledging your history and your ethnic heritage and going before slavery, finding our history, hidden history, is what being a pro black is. Trying to find out about the Moors, trying to find out about black kings and queens, and talking to break it down the terms used of the ghetto. That's being pro black. So when I hear people like Madhead and other blacks out there that try to use these rhetorical questions and questions on top of questions and attempting to slander pro blacks, I'm telling pro blacks, if they're listening to this video, do not pay attention to other blacks because they want to make you feel like, loving your heritage is bad. They want to make you feel that loving black people is bad. They want you to feel that loving, having compassion for black murder victims that's killed by police or even killed in gang violence is a bad thing. They want to try to use things like, oh, what about black on black violence and raising kids and fathers? This bullshit arguments that they get from Fox News and coons. And we got to stop looking at these coons and we got to stop looking at these individuals push this narrative. So I thought to do this video, people. Like and share this video. Peace out.